but like showing support to someone like Zoran and building a momentum, building a movement, like having a little bit more courage and having a little bit more confidence in your power is good. It's a good thing. I think it's like not, the expectation here is not a crazy one. I don't think it's a crazy thing to expect AOC and Bernie to endorse Zoran, especially when he is clearly the number one guy. All right. What else was I going to show you? There was some other stuff that I was going to look at. Oh, we're going to talk about Zoran. We did already talk about Zoran getting endorsed by the liberal king, the liberal God king. Hashtag resistance liberalism, his very own right here.
Good morning, New York City. I know getting back on your feet after a long holiday weekend is tough, but here's some news that'll put some pep in your step. Like all campaigns, we hired a research firm to poll New Yorkers. What they just found? It's very exciting. Let's start with the headlines. We're now at 27% in the first round of ranked choice voting, firmly in second place behind Andrew Cuomo, with the next campaign in single digits. And in the final round, after every other candidate's been eliminated, it's us at 44% and Cuomo at 56%. That's a 12-point gap. In March, it was 40 points. And we've gotten here while a third of New Yorkers still haven't heard of us. That means we're nowhere near our ceiling. That's where you come in. Yes, we're gonna have more rallies, more TV ads, more videos like this, and that's all thanks to your contributions. Just this past weekend, our volunteers passed 600,000 doors knocked. No one else is even in the same galaxy, let alone the same neighborhoods. With less than a month to go, we're going to win a city that New Yorkers can actually afford and send Andrew Cuomo back to the suburbs.
My goat. I think Zoran's support is more firm than Cuomo's because his base is more politically engaged. Cuomo doesn't have a base. He's just trailing on name recognition and being a part of the Democratic Party machine that he designed in the state when he was the governor. He comes from a lineage of Cuomos that have dominated New York politics. His last name is incredibly recognizable. And a lot of boomers, okay, regardless of their background, regardless of demographics, like once they get to a certain age and they hear that, they go, all right, that's a trustworthy name. I know that name. I'll rank it 1. That's the problem. Zoran Mamdani, on the other hand, is not a name that they know. He needs that phantom endorsement, and Jay Schlatt needs to run anti-Cuomo ads if he's a real hater. Yeah, that's what we need to do. We're gonna phantom tax Andrew Cuomo. It just sucks. Are AOC and Bernie waiting for the final moments of their endorsement? They have to endorse him, right? I don't know what they're doing, man. I don't know what they're doing. I think AOC, I think one of the biggest problems with the Democratic Party politicians in this goddamn country is that they're so scared. They're so scared to lead, okay? And I can't believe I'm saying this for Bernie Sanders, who spent most of his career being pushed aside as a unique individual with politics that were far too radical for the average American. And then he literally was honest when he ran against the figurehead of establishment politics in 2016. And everyone was like, oh my God, what a breath of fresh air. There is a normal human being who speaks to our desires. And since then, he has just kept going back and taking way more restrained approaches over and over and over and over again. And I don't know why. They're just like scared to lead. Ironically enough, you're supposed to keep pushing. You're not supposed to, when you get to a position where your politics becomes more popular, okay, in the collective consciousness, when people start going, oh yeah, I do actually love that guy, you're not supposed to rein it in. You're not supposed to dial it back. You're supposed to keep pushing and push harder, you know? It doesn't make any sense. And the same goes for AOC as well. I would say AOC was even more radical when she first ran. Like she was way more aggressive with her messaging, and it wasn't a bad thing. It was a good thing. But I think now that she has, and this is not, again, although I do have a direct line of communication with at least people that work in these campaigns and stuff. Like, I'm not saying this off of like anything I know personally. This is simply my speculation as an outsider, just like you. I'm looking at this from the outside, and I feel like Perhaps she is entertaining, unseating Chuck Schumer, and she's actually destroying Chuck Schumer. By the way, there's polls that came out that show that AOC is more popular than Chuck Schumer amongst American Jews in New York, okay? Which is not even remotely surprising if you understand how American politics works. But it does kind of cut away at the stupid argument that Chuck Schumer makes all the time, which is like, oh, I'm protecting American Jews. I'm protecting Judaism by protecting Israel. Well, it turns out American Jews don't give a f about that, big dog. What happened? I thought you were the annihilator of anti-Semitism and that was the primary function. That was the most important thing. Defending Israel was the most important thing for American Jews, I thought. Well, it turns out they don't give a f. Why would they? It's so stupid. AOC has like a 10-point lead amongst New York Jews against AOC, against Chuck Schumer, who is Jewish himself. He has the highest rank. He is the highest ranking Jewish politician in the country. Not the highest platform. Obviously, Bernie is more popular, but yeah, look at this. Look, Honest Strategy Group poll. New York City Dem sampled. New York 2028 Democratic Senate primary. AOC at 54%. Chuck Schumer at 33%. Cooked. It's over. New York City Jewish Democrats sampled. AOC at 45%. Chuck Schumer at 38%. Chuck Schumer has officially become a less popular figure than even Nancy Pelosi. Okay. New Yorker comment. Signing up to canvas right now. Do you know any neighborhoods that need more work? Since you know people working on the campaign. Brother, why are you asking me? Ask the campaign. What? I don't know. That's crazy. You think I'm dialed in on like what areas of need look like for Zoran's campaign? I don't know. Anyway, look. Someone says South Brooklyn. I canvass for Zoran. Okay, so I don't know. Maybe it's because of stuff like this. Maybe it's because she wants to like unseat Chuck Schumer potentially and become a senator. And that's the reason why she's just like taking a softer approach. But like, that's stupid. Okay. I don't think that's smart. I don't think that's good instincts. Okay. I'm not saying, run around saying, to Israel or whatever. Okay. But like showing support to someone like Zoran and building a momentum, building a movement, like having a little bit more courage and having a little bit more confidence in your power is good. It's a good thing. I think it's like not the expectation here is not a crazy one. I don't think it's a crazy thing to expect AOC and Bernie to endorse Zoran, especially when he is clearly the #1 guy, especially now with Cuomo getting a DOJ suit slapped on him for, annihilating boomers during COVID, which clearly is a political move, and it's identical to what happened with Eric Adams. It's identical to Eric Adams. Like the Eric Adams situation is that there was a valid investigation from the DOJ under the Brandon leadership, and then when Trump came into office, he basically used that existing investigation, dropped the investigation using the DOJ powers that he has, to drop the investigation to control Eric Adams better. Okay, it's crazy. They're going to endorse Ladner because they know he has no chance of winning. Yeah, I'm going to lose my mind if that happens. Like, no disrespect to that guy either. If Zoran wasn't running and wasn't so popular, then he's a perfectly valid candidate to back. Okay? He is a progressive. He's definitely, I mean, look, he's a progressive. He's nowhere near as progressive as Zoran is, okay? But having said that, Brad Lander is the name that we're talking about. He's the person that actually even head of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, Greg Kazar, endorsed as well, which I asked him directly why he did that. So Brad Lander is the current New York City comptroller, okay? And he's not a bad guy by any means. Okay, as far as like running for New York mayor, he's not a bad guy by any means. All right. But right now, there is clearly a much more valid opponent to Cuomo. He's not, but not pro-Palestine. Yeah, he's a lib. He's a liberal Zionist. He's not. I'm saying, like, adjusted to normal circumstances. If Zoran wasn't running, if Zoran wasn't in the running, you wouldn't even entertain that. You would be like, there's no one on there aside from Zoran that's like a committed anti-Zionist, which is ironic because people are still saying that Zoran is not a committed anti-Zionist either. Zoran is a committed anti-Zionist. In any case, what? From the Breakfast Club interview yesterday? What? You want me to watch a 57-minute interview with David Hogg on the Breakfast Club? That's crazy. Didn't he say Israel has a right to defend itself? Who? Zoran? No, he did not say that. So, no, they asked him if Israel has a right to exist, and he gave the classic, like, yes, Israel has a right to exist. No, he didn't say, I don't think he said Israel has a right to defend itself. What the? No, he just said Israel has a right to exist, which is, again, not the best answer. Dude, stop. Why do we always do this? Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. Dude, you have to give more allowances to politicians that you know are on your side. Okay, that's it. Because you have to adjust it, not to like what the audiences look like, not to what the actual voter base looks like, but instead what the average, like how American politics works. Okay, that's it. And as time allows, as opinions shift, you can be more open about your perspective if time permits. Okay, if the like you have to be normal. Is being signal boosted by ops to get Zoran support down? That tweet went viral with it. Had posts a few days later, a protester yelling at him and then calling you anti-Semitic. Yeah, I know. Our leaders have to have a commitment to the truth, and they have to lead. They have to be unafraid of leading. Okay, and a part of that is to sometimes say things that might come across as scary. But as long as you have the courage, as long as you say the truth, as long as you have the courage to say the truth, I think you will win more favors than you think. That's it. How is this any different than the lesser evil argument? Because this person is running for office, dude. A lot of people, I think, who despise bourgeois elections don't understand. They on the one hand will despise the duopoly within the bourgeois democratic process that exists in this country, while simultaneously expecting fucking politicians that are running in those races to not even remotely try to tailor their messaging to an audience. Like, I'm sorry, you have to adjust your expectations to the average. Okay, the average. What is the average position? I said this back then when his response was, that Israel has a right to exist. I said, like, the correct response to this, and I think someone like Zoran should, someone like Zoran should have a better response for this, obviously, considering, where we are at this point. It was like 19 months into this genocide. Having said that, however, okay, he is a Muslim dude running for mayor of New York. Like, what are we fucking talking about? It's not everyone has the same allowances. Brad Lander, okay, who is Jewish, could literally scream from the mountaintops that the Zionist entity must be dismantled piece by piece if he wanted to. Bernie Sanders could say the same. Straight up. Okay? I'm going to be honest with you. This is an allowance that American Jews have that a fucking Muslim doesn't. Wake up. Okay? Jesus Christ. Some of y'all act like we don't live in the fucking real world, Politicians already have a different set of standards, but it's crazy. No, you can say, listen. If an American Jewish person says something like that, and then all of the like Israel advocacy groups turn around and go, oh, this Jew is a Jew hater or whatever, right? He's anti-Semitic. No American is going to comprehend that. Americans are not smart enough to even understand that there can be anti-Semitic Jews, like Stephen Miller, for example. Okay, they don't understand that. So it's like using that stupidity to your advantage. Do you understand me? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, Americans don't look at that and go, a token Jew, I guess. Like, they don't think about it like that. That's why Candace Owens gets so much fucking play being a black woman who says the most white supremacist shit. Do you understand me? Her entire job is to be that person, to put a black face on white supremacist statements. My opinion on it at the time, my statement on it at the time was like, look, the real answer to this is that no state has a right to exist. This is no different than saying, does Nazi Germany have a right to exist? Or does apartheid South Africa have a right to exist? You know, does Rhodesia have a right to exist? No state has a right to exist. People have a right to exist. Israel already exists as a state. Okay? And no, Israel in its current formation as a genocidal apartheid state does not have a right to exist. It's a criminal enterprise. But I think in that moment, someone like Zoran as a visible Muslim brown socialist guy is making a calculation, a different calculation than someone like yourself or someone like myself. I am much more forgiving of people toning down their rhetoric, especially if they're running for office. That's my point. I said no state has a right to exist. People have a right to exist. Nazi Germany had no right to exist, neither did Rhodesia. Israel's an apartheid state doing a genocide has no right to exist in its current formation. Wait, what the fuck? I actually replied to my own tweet, but where is it? Now do China and Russia? He's definitely paid. I actually replied to this post, but I can't even find it. But Twitter is so broken that it's like you can't even see anything correctly. I always defer to the Mohammed El Kurd tweet on this. Yeah, here. He said, just in case you didn't know, Israel has a right to exist as a racist anti-Palestinian dog whistle, which implies the extermination of the Palestinian people. It was crafted and popularized by the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and repeating it verbatim today as a genocide is waged is especially egregious and akin to saying Nazi Germany had a right to exist while it was carrying out the Holocaust. I cannot for the life of me figure out why any self-respecting Palestinian or Arab would slide without question, even if, and particularly when it is from an ally we have to put our support behind and trust in. And no, I am not allergic to power. I'm allergic to indignity. Though I thought it's implied, let me clarify, I do hope Zoran wins the mayoral race because that's in the best interest of the working class New Yorkers. Also, no progressive politician should be repeating Zionist talking points of 2025. Two things can be true. Critique does not equal cancellation. Yeah, I said, this was my response to my own tweet. I said, also, I like Zoran a lot. I don't think anyone has to play these games anymore, but maybe the boomer elector of New York City is not equipped to hear that from a Muslim mayoral candidate. You know, it's insidiously vague because saying it has no right to exist is implied to mean that you want to end all the people that currently live there, which obviously has no nuance whatsoever. Exactly. Anyway, yeah, Mike from PA had a good take on this. Yes, exactly. When he was on Noah's stream the other day, I saw it as well. You can't expect people running for major office to say the right thing all the time. It's better to know if they're a sympathizer versus an opportunist. And Zoran is very much a sympathizer. Exactly. There are two different types of politicians. You have sympathizers and you have phonies. Okay. Opportunists. Opportunists are people like Fetterman. Fetterman is an opportunist. Okay. An opportunist adorns or adopts the aesthetics of like revolutionary politics or socialist politics, or says that they actually care, but they actually don't care. And then you have sympathizers who the expectation is that they will moderate their tone when running for office. Okay. Richie Torres is an opportunist. Kirsten Sinema was an opportunist. Cory Booker used to be an opportunist back in the day. He doesn't even do that anymore. Obama, opportunist. Most politicians are opportunists. And then you have the unique politician that is a committed person. Okay. I think Zoran is committed. He is, I guess, a sympathizer, if you want to call it that. Anyway, let's move on. I don't know why we're relitigating this every time I bring this shit up. Look, I'm as big as an AOC defender as they come, but it is worrying that there has not been even a mention of this campaign by her and Bernie, and even more problematic that our office is a black box where we don't know what the fuck's going on. Half of the QDs of the Olbermann Zoran endorsement aren't happy people. They are complaining about AOC. A lot of you aren't even into socialism or progressivism or whatever the richest field for negative complainers you were naturally drawn to. Listen, we need more party discipline, and her refusing to endorse in her city is just insane. I say this as someone who isn't an AOC obsessive. Is she refusing? I don't know that. I think she's doing it on the same schedule she does any citywide endorsement for someone who is maxed out. The problem is Zoran is not maxed out. That's precisely the reason why she should be actually fucking endorsing him. And she has made other citywide endorsements already. Oh, he means fundraising. Oh, okay. Well, there are other... Okay. Oh, my bad. I misunderstood. Zoran is maxed out on fundraising. That's correct. Okay. Having said that, however, no. There's something much more important than fucking fundraising. That is name recognition. It's not. Zoran is maxed out on the fundraising, but he is not maxed out on the name recognition. AOC is a nationally recognized, very popular New York politician. Okay? Her word at this stage would be incredible. Okay? The most impact, the maximum impact that you could have to potentially even swing this fucking election in Zoran's favor would be to hold a goddamn New York rally, one of those like fight the oligarchy rallies, and then endorse Zoran and have Zoran speak at that New York rally. If there was a Bernie AOC rally in New York and then they endorsed Zoran and they had Zoran fucking speak, oh my Lord, the AOC #1 endorsement would absolutely close this gap. And unlike Wiley last time, who went from underwater to almost winning, Zoran already has run by far the strongest campaign and will be able to do much more to maximize his impact with voters. Conversely, a non-#1 endorsement will ensure the press focuses mainly on the fact that it wasn't a #1 endorsement, saying like rank Zoran as #1. That is the word. Those are the words that need to come out of AOC and Bernie Sanders' mouth, but especially AOC. I hate these fucking dipshits, by the way. This guy is like a massive fucking Israel dick rider. I see him constantly. I hate these goddamn liberals. Mamdani would make a bad mayor in the Brandon Johnson mold. If she endorses and he loses, she has the stink of his loss on her. If she endorses and he wins, she's tainted by association to his inevitably terrible tenure as mayor. I hate these guys, man. These guys just want to fucking lose, you know? Or not, they want to lose. They just don't want the left to win. I know she met in person with Lander and Mamdani. I know. A while back, like a couple weeks ago. AOC meetings with Lander and Mamdani spurred talk of possible mayoral endorsement. And considering the Congressional Progressive Caucus leader, Greg Kazar, early on endorsed Brad Lander, while simultaneously saying Zoran would be great, but like endorse Brad Lander, I am worried that AOC is going to do some fuck shit like this, which is, it's loser shit, okay? It is loser shit. We don't ride the polar coaster, but oh my God, first round 27, last round 44%. And most importantly for organizers, that's with 33% not knowing who Zoran Mamdani is. The ceiling is so high. Oh, and this is the other side of the Zoran conversation. All of these yimbys, Zoran, much like many progressive figureheads, has a yimby sympathetic campaign. He is Mr. Dezoning, okay? He is an advocate for for building more housing. That is a pivotal part of his campaign promises. And yet all of these abundance aligned political commentators are anti-Zoran. So much so that they are quite literally saying they might even endorse fucking Eric Adams. Once again, this kind of stuff is quite literally a perfect demonstration that these guys and their position is just anti-left. That's it. They're just anti-left charlatans, and that's the only thing they care about. Honestly, might pick Adams, and I do not like Adams much at all. The wire fraud, bribery accepting, witness tampering, evidence destroying guy who sold out to Trump to get charges dropped against him, resulting in his resignation of multiple U.S. attorneys in protest over the lefty who supports some rent control along with many YIMBY policies. I do not believe Zoran would support YIMBY policies in any meaningful way. You're right. I'm sure the bribery guy will be much more likely to take on NIMBYs than the socialist guy. A YIMBY is a yes in my backyard. A NIMBY is not in my backyard. It's the people that want to deregulate housing and engage in, like, some of the aspects of YIMBYism are correct in terms of like the necessity for more housing that needs to be built. A lot of that movement, unfortunately, is also libertarian adjacent. If you are a YIMBY, but you're also pro real estate developers, pro capital, then you are an unserious person. If you are NIMBYs, on the other hand, can be conservatives that don't want, black and brown people or poor people in their neighborhood, and also people who are anti-gentrification initiatives. Both YIMBYs can be of the leftist variety or hyper right-wing, and NIMBYs are the same as well. You can have leftist NIMBYs or you can have incredibly right-wing NIMBYs. It just means, like, do you want more building? In the most basic ways to explain it. In the most reductive terms, do you want to build more housing or not? Okay, so, but a lot of these guys, the abundance faction, Mamdani triangulates a bunch of YIMBY policy, but they don't care about that and decide to back a felonious, unregistered foreign agent crook who's being extorted by the Trump admin to crack down on immigrants. And that's because they actually are going to vote for Andrew Cuomo. They just don't want to say it out loud. Okay? Because there is functionally no difference. They are both incredibly right-wing, incredibly crooked figures of New York politics at this point. And there is no difference between them. They are both literally, like, Andrew Cuomo already is open to the same exact line of attack and the same exact line of control that Trump implemented against Eric Adams. He already has a DOJ court case that was announced. So it is identical, okay? So when I see people go, I don't know about this, here's where I'm at on the New York City race more broadly, says Matthew Iglesias. It's not just that one guy from the Center for New Liberalism. It's this guy speaking at the Welcome Pack conference, too. Given a choice between a leader on the left who supports a bunch of YIMBY policies or stuffing the left, they pick a bribe-taking, Trump-extorted puppet mayor. Here's where I'm at on the New York City mayor more broadly, says Matthew Iglesias, egg boy himself. Polling right now suggests the final round of RCV in the New York City mayoral election will come down to Andrew Cuomo or Zohran Mamdani, two deeply flawed options for abundance-focused moderates. After ranking better top-line options like Zellner Myrie, who would you rank fifth between Cuomo and Mamdani to ensure your vote has meaning in the final round? Among the top two, I think Cuomo is a bad choice and Mamdani is a disastrous choice. I would support Eric Adams in the general election. Like, he thinks Mamdani is worse than Andrew Cuomo. Egg boy will be Republican in 8 years or less. He already is, man. He already is. Just weird how the red line for libs when it comes to voting always comes down to left-wing policies. I know. I'm sorry, but if you don't like fucking Zohran Mamdani and you're like one of these guys who's like, I want to build more housing, then you're not a fucking serious person at all. Just look at the difference in favorability here. What the fuck? What is this goddamn link that you sent me, dude? The YouGov poll. I couldn't even fucking... It's getting blocked automatically by... Just send me the normal YouGov link instead of sending it to me through a tiny URL. Yeah, what Americans think of 120 political leaders. Wait, hold on. There was the difference in favorability. Cuomo -4, AOC and Bernie 61 and 75 among Dem voters. Andrew Cuomo, 69% awareness, -30 net favorability. Oh my Lord. Oh my fucking Lord. Democrats. Obama has a +86 net favorability. Kamala Harris 84. Bernie Sanders 75. Biden 70. Ugh, gross. Tim Walz 61. Walz is followed by AOC +61, who is the only Democrat in the top 10 who hasn't run for president or vice president. Also in the top 10 after Ocasio-Cortez or Hillary Clinton. Oh, gross. God. Elizabeth Warren 58. Cory Booker 52. Pete Buttigieg 51. The survey was conducted before Booker's 25-hour speech on the Senate floor. Further down in the ranking is a former Democratic House Leader Pelosi +38. Schumer, Adams is -26 and Cuomo is -1 are the only two Democratic politicians in our survey who have a negative net favorability among Democrats. Great. The Obama propaganda is crazy. I genuinely didn't even realize he sucked until I became a fan of yours, and all my friends still think he's perfect. Yeah, I know. Anyway, it's just it is ridiculous. All right, let's see what David Hogg was saying at this Breakfast Club interview. Talking